Hello, Philly. My name is Larry Krasner, and I have the distinct privilege of serving as your Philadelphia District Attorney. Today, I want to talk to you briefly about the nuts and bolts of how our criminal justice system works. More specifically, I want to talk to you about how cases that our office prosecutes make their way through the system to resolution. In that process, we hope that justice is achieved for everyone, for the victim, for the survivors, for defendants, and for society at large. That is the duty of a prosecutor, and that's the duty we intend to uphold. So let's imagine that someone sees a crime in progress. An eyewitness calls 911, and a report is made to police. Thanks to a nearby security camera, along with a description from the eyewitness, a suspect is identified by the police, and investigators submit their paperwork to my office. Our charging unit reviews the evidence and makes the determination that there is enough evidence for an arrest warrant, and then the suspect is taken into custody by police effecting that arrest. It's the police who almost always arrest, but it is the district attorney's office that decides what charges, if any, are appropriate. At this stage, we may also determine in a particular case whether diversion is appropriate. It is in some cases, and we have many different diversion programs. Within hours of our office deciding to charge a person, that person will be taken before a bail magistrate, often by video conference. The magistrate will make a decision around whether there should be a release or not, and may impose some kind of a bail. The individual is then arraigned, where charges are formally presented to the individual. The defendant may plead not guilty at this stage, and the defendant may then proceed with their case. In a misdemeanor matter, the case will proceed towards a trial, but in a felony matter, there is a preliminary hearing first. At the preliminary hearing, my office needs to show a judge that there is enough evidence to bother having a trial. In other words, to take the case to trial. If there's not enough evidence, the judge can dismiss a case or dismiss part of a case, individual charges, if they are not made out when others are. If there is enough to have a trial, the case moves forward. Once a case has successfully passed a preliminary hearing, there will be a discussion about a possible plea, and in many cases, there will be an offer extended to the defendant. My office and the defendant or their attorney negotiate as to the best resolution of the case. If we can come to an agreement, a plea deal will be signed and presented to the court. If we cannot come to an agreement, then the district attorney's office will present the case to a judge or to a jury, and that judge or jury will decide guilt or innocence. In those cases where the defendant is found guilty, the judge imposes the sentence after recommendations from my office and the defendant. I want to stress that my office strongly believes in looking at the particulars of each case and not making cookie-cutter determinations. We call this individual justice, individual to the case, individual to the crime, individual to the victim, and individual to the survivors, and individual to the defendant. We need all of that information if we are to come at real justice for an individual. And I also want to stress that the machinery of justice is incredibly complex, with many forces involved. Victims, witnesses, police, prosecutors, defense attorneys, judges, juries, as well as lots of rules and procedures that make the process at times slow and difficult to understand or even accept for some victims, survivors, and defendants. There are conversely many instances in which justice is served, and swiftly, as shown in our time to disposition dashboard. What is time to disposition? That means the time from the beginning of a case until its conclusion. As your elected district attorney, I am thrilled to present to you our groundbreaking new public data website that includes statistics on how many cases move through the system during a given time period, as well as data on the outcomes of those cases. The machinery of justice is no longer contained in a black box in Philadelphia. We want you to see, and we want to know if we're doing well or not as well as we could, because that is what justice requires. For example, we have looked, and since 2014, we have seen that 421 homicide cases have resolved with plea deals. 292 cases took place where there was guilt determined by the jury, and 54 cases were resolved where the defendant or defendants were found not guilty. There is a wealth of data now at your fingertips by visiting our new public data website. Thank you for your interest, and please visit the site. You can also let my office or me know if we can be of help by emailing us at justice@phila.gov. That's JUSTICE at phila.gov. Thank you for your time.